Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a little Friday afternoon action here at Tales from the Grim. I am not going to say much because I am super duper excited to start this show with these absolutely fantastic people that are surrounding me with an absolutely amazing GM. I will say quickly though, we're here for a brand new tale of Aether's Walkway, set in the Cypher system, powered by Monty Cook Games and the imagination of the person above me. We can be here because of the generosity of Roll20, www.roll20.net, virtual tabletop of choice, especially in these times of sheltering in place and social distancing. Make sure the tales continue, my friends, because with the tales around a virtual table, kindness and stories will win. And that's why I'm here. I'm sitting back. I am completely ready. I'm shaky. Alice, take it away.
Okay, as it's the first episode, I think we'll dive in straight away. And where we find everyone is on Naumerius. This is one of the most inhabited planets of the Nimbus sector, a planet that is so built up its entire surface is a city itself. Its huge towering buildings of steel and screens are like cubicles stacked sort of awkwardly on top of one another. This is compact. This is primarily a living and industrial planet. There are cars and hoverbikes and fast food trams as they're whizzing and gliding through the many levels of the city. And the deeper you go into Naumerius, the darker it gets. There are blazing neon lights, there's billboards, signs, and these holograms that glare through this fume-ridden metropolis. And you can see the three moons of Naumerius peeking between this very sort of loud metal jungle. And you can hear the whirring of the pumps as they start to take motion and they hum as the rain starts to fall, activating all the water guards over the city. It rains a lot here in Naumerius. And right now, it's 4 p.m. And we're going to dive in straight away to Cantor. Where would Cantor be in this built up city? It gets dark pretty quickly. You can just about, purely because of how built up it is, you can see the light that's kind of streaming through those little gaps in between the buildings from the moons and the very artificial light, these bright colors from the signs and things going on. But where would we find him?
Cantor would be inside this urban canyon, this valley, um, as the light would dance and end as it passes from what would be the zenith, probably providing the most light, back into the nearly eternal night. He would have his collar up as he shuffles through. He is an older man. He's in his, comparatively his 60s, as he moves through with what looks like purpose, but a couple times he'll get to these build up streets with new features that may have just been augmented to the buildings or added, and it takes him a second to orient himself. But for the most part, he keeps his head down and his trail stays relatively solid.
As you sort of walk through these streets, you can hear the hiss of steam coming from some of the pipes. You can hear the whir of those sort of big propellers, like those fans. And you are getting wet a little bit. This slow down, you've got all of the big panels that tend to protect the rain and channel the water into these huge drain-like features that help power this city. And this water runs off and it sort of drips in front of you. And there's a lot of people walking backwards and forwards. They're not really paying any real attention to you. And there is something that maybe might seem a little bit odd to Cantor, because I feel like Cantor would be much lower in the city. It's a lot darker down here, and you can see someone dressed in very, very white clothing, very white with what looks like kind of like a royal blue not sash, but it's sort of been put in as part of the outfit, sort of very movable, fairly flowing, and you recognize, or at least you think you recognize, this clothing for a minute, like the colors mean something. And this person is walking through the street as casually as anything, and they really stand out against a lot of the darker colors that are here, a lot of the metallics, and their clothing is sort of reflecting this neon light that is coming off of everything.
Well, probably without his knowledge of it, even if this is such an anomaly, this sort of bright light in the shadow, he might be following for a block or two before he realizes that he's maybe off course if they're not going the same direction that he had intended. He would allow himself to be led.
Okay. You follow them for a bit, and every now and then they seem to stop. They look up at the sky. They don't seem to focus on anything in particular, but they definitely, you get the feel they're looking for something as they look down some of these alleyways that sort of, some of these alleyways that you know are functional, people have to walk sideways down some of them. You see some of the other sort of fairly alien races down here. You can see as they sort of push past, you almost walk into one of the Tellurians. This very, very tall, 7-foot creature, very broad sort of forehead, very, very small eyes and small mouth. As it sort of staggers to the side as you almost walk into it, and you notice this person's head whip round, and you can see they are completely blind. Their eyes are fully white. But they stop and they look at you.
Knowing that any type of aggression in this area, in this part of the city, is can be misconstrued, or even an act of kindness, Cantor would simply lift his hands, even though if the physicality matches what he can see, he doubts they could tell. Can I help you? Help you find someplace?
And the face watches you, and it's very calm, and walks towards you and holds out a hand.
He'd hesitate, then take it.
And you can feel it close over yours. And they hold your hand and they let go. You're not who I'm looking for.
Can I help you find them? Maybe I know of them.
And this person hesitates. No, I don't think you can. And starts to walk almost in the complete opposite direction to you, passes you. Doesn't bump into you. In fact, they don't bump into anyone. They sort of almost dance and move between the people.
He'd watch them go. Bill.
Is there a particular place Cantor would go? Like, would he be headed anywhere? Because you now realize you're nowhere where you thought you would be. But there is also a strange sort of lingering sense where this person held your hand. And if you do look back, they're gone.
He was on his way to where he spends most of his days as a fixture in the workshop. And if he's off the beaten path, so to speak. He might take several minutes to reorient himself, to try to find a landmark, or, having to double back down a block and then go back the other way and go to the next intersection. Um, it could delay him anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour and a half.
Okay. As you sort of head back in the direction that you normally go, it takes a while to sort of almost like you're trying to focus as to where you actually are and where you were intending to going. And there's this feeling as you sort of maybe go up a few levels towards the place you normally go. How alert is Cantor to what is around him?
Not at all. With this strange anomaly and what is a very cookie cutter day, wake up, get coffee, go here, go home, drink something different than coffee, go to sleep. This being drawn into a different section of the city, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you can surprise one, and he's surprised. So
You start making your way towards where, after your coffee, you would head and hang out effectively for the day. And this is routine for you. You know where people are and when. It's always the same, it's never changed. But today, not just have you seen this person walking through the street, there are these uniformed people who you definitely recognize. You recognize the supremacy a mile off. They don't try to hide themselves. They're very proud of what they wear. These are the people that work for the supremacy. These almost very dark with a hint of like gold on the uniform. And you can see by one of them with the very almost royal colors there, you can see three of them, and they seem to be stopping people in their paths and asking questions. And that you can see them hold up a piece of paper or something, and you can see individuals shake their head. They don't seem to know what these people are after. But you also know the supremacy don't necessarily take kindly to a lot of people. Maybe not to people so much like Cantor, but also they may not ever notice you. And they do seem to start heading your way, but they stop at this sort of this little old lady at the corner. You can see you've sort of walked past this what looks like almost like a fast food place. You can smell a lot of like cooking meats and vegetables and a lot of things, and you can hear the steaming of some of the pots, and it smells amazing. And that same Martite that always works there every single day, with his multiple arms, he seems to be sort of dishing up and handling every single pot as this little old lady at the front is talking to them. And again, you see them show her this piece of paper. And this time you can hear them. Have you seen this person? It is of utmost importance that we find them. And you know this sort of, this little old lady. She may have maybe given you food or something on the way past. She's very kindly, very small. You know this shop is owned by her and this Martite. And you know her as Maggie. And she sort of looks at this piece of paper and shakes her head, glances over to you briefly and then back at the paper and shakes her head. And you watch them move on.
is there any way I can glean what is on the paper from this distance?
Could you roll me an intellect difficulty of 3, please?
Okay, I'm going to burn an effort on this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right out the gate, because I promised myself
Right
I would.
now.
You said difficulty of 3?
It is difficulty of 3.
Okay. Success.
Yeah. So how are you trying to look at this as they're holding it and they realize they're not getting anything out of her, so they sort of turn to walk away. They haven't gone far.
He just wants to see what's on there. He wants to see if it's somebody that he recognizes, and with that feeling, whether it's warmth or the temperature variation, maybe still kind of lingering, maybe, you know, psychologically in his hand from the touch that he just had and the strange kind of branch journey that he just went on. He wants to make sure it's not somebody that he knows.
You sort of almost have that moment where they turn, and as they're putting it back into one of their breast pockets, you get that glance, and you can feel your hand almost like when someone puts ice in your hand very firmly, and you feel that sort of shooting pain go down your arm just with how cold it is as you glance over at this face, this photograph, an old photograph. Looks very tattered. In fact, this looks almost like a photocopy that someone's taken, and the face is so familiar to you. Out of anything, but you can't quite. It's like it's not there anymore. It's like it was something you knew, and it's gone. But it's something about the eyes. The eyes are so familiar. But the rest of it is like almost like a memory that has become a distant sort of shadow, and it's fading. When you reach out and you're like, I know what this is, it's on the tip of my tongue.
He would quickly reach into his pocket and pull out like a stylus, a pen, an implement of writing, and he would pull up his left sleeve until his forearm was exposed, and then he would write eyes, the eyes, and then he would circle it, and as he moves his sleeve back down, he doesn't see all the other smudges that are on his forearm.
You linger there for a moment until you feel a hand sort of on you, and it's Maggie's. What are you doing out here, dear? Shouldn't you be at the shop by now?
Got turned around a little bit, is all.
Turned around. Right.
Changing everything every day, it seems.
And she looks at you. Have you eaten?
Yeah. I'm belly's full, thank you, Maggie. I'm good.
And she sort of lets go and holds out a hand back, and this Marta, she's like, Marin! And this long sort of arm comes out holding this, looks like a very foil-like package. You can smell the food, and you can almost feel the heat come off it as she pushes it into your hand. Just so I know. She looks at you.
Thank you. What do I owe you?
Nothing. That's technically the first batch, and I need to get rid of it. You know she's lying, but she's like, I just needed you to try it, new recipe, and you tell me if it's good. And then Marin over here will try it more, and you see this little sort of 3-fingered hand wave at you from the other side as he starts moving another sort of this huge, almost like wok, and this is huge, like it's absolutely massive, as all of these sort of vegetables and this steam comes up as it's thrown into the air.
Thank you both. I'll make notes and let you know.
Please do. And she sort of smiles and wipes her hand on her apron where she was holding it. It feels like quite greasy, this stuff. And you can hear, Marin, another 4, as she heads back behind this. It's not much of a stall. It's literally a setup with a hot sort of plate pans on top, and a small table just at the corner where there's a lot of people packed onto one small table. And you can head back in that direction that you know so well and go every day.
As he would head back, he would just lift up the foil package and point to it. Thank you.
She does a little bit of a wave and goes back to serving. As you head towards the car shop, effectively, that you hang out at every day. And this is owned by Loxy. And what's Loxy doing today, just before Cantor even arrives?
So it's late afternoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the shop's been open. Loxy's just sort of puttering around the shop, working on different cars, shit.
It's a real mix. You've got these.
Yeah.
Your main thing is normally you get a lot of the hover-like vehicles. So like you get the cars, you get the bikes. Every now and then you get one of the food trams, which are like, they hover like the things, but it's like it looks like an old tram, and people build in sort of small kitchens with tables and chairs in them, so people can move whilst they eat, effectively. What does your shop look like? Like, is it cluttered? Is it built up? Is it simple?
Yeah, it's sort of just like a big warehouse where there's just like shelving and shelving, which is really not the most, you would think it wouldn't be the most convenient since Loxy is very short and small in stature. But there are shelves and shelves of parts and tools and just ladders going up and down them, even some like hover stools that adjust in height. And she's on her back underneath the hover car, grease, oil on her feathers, just working, trying to get some credits for the day.
Okay, so what is Loxy? What exactly does she look like? Because she's not a human.
No, she is an Orsarius. So she is she's about like 3'7", and she is covered in these brightly colored feathers, very similar to a lilac breasted roller. So pastel, mint, white, pink, really just large, alert eyes. So that's what Loxy looks like.
And you're sort of slightly covered in oil as you do, and you're sort of so you're under one of these hover cars. You've probably got a couple of like maybe it's towards the end of the day, so there's maybe 2 clients left sort of waiting. You see that they've got their these sort of, it's almost like reading the news, looking at the screen as it comes up, but there's these little dots on their fingerprints that generate this sort of little bit of a hologram, and you watch them scroll through the news. They don't look too amused by most of it. You can see one of them seems to be sort of chuckling a little bit as they're watching this live stream. But as you're under this car, you feel like on the top of the bonnet as you're there. And it's you can see 2 pairs of you can see a pair of feet. The boots look pretty nice. They seem to go just below the knee with these big sort of almost like metal straps around the side of them, and a kind of nervous voice comes through. Is like, hello, you you're Loxy, right?
Yeah, and I'll wheel myself or hover myself out from underneath the car.
Yeah, you can have like this hover platform that sort of glides out very easily as you do, and you see this this man that's in a sort of, it's almost like a vest type thing and a a bit of a sort of a leather jacket with a very similar straps around the arms that he had on his boots. He looks a little bit scruffy. You can see a little bit of dirt on his on the side of his cheek, and you can see this modification on his face as this sort of this metal bit that seems to fit around his eye and goes up all the way across his ear, and you can see that one of his eyes is this almost mechanical sort of movement with this purple light at the center. I hear you fix bikes and stuff. Like, how quickly can you do it? Because I'm in a bit of a hurry.
Yeah, I can fix your bike. I've got a couple of clients I'm working on right now. How big of a hurry?
Like now. I need it done now. I need to
Now?
be gone now. And you can see him sort of, his bike is parked up at the side. It looks a bit battered. It's more of it's not like a fashionable bike. It's not one you necessarily want to own. It's got these huge big delivery containers on the back. So I just need to, I've got to be somewhere. How fast can you do it? I'll pay double.
Well, what's wrong with it?
And he leans in sort of towards you, and it's kind of a lean down because he really doesn't want to be heard. I know you do other stuff. There's trackers and stuff on my bike, and I need you to disable them. But make it not look like they're disabled, but not, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, usually I do that sort of stuff. But you need it done now?
I need it done right now, like yesterday. And you see, he's like wringing his fingers, his hands. He looks very nervous. You can see a sweat breaking sort of out, and he's just looking at you very wide-eyed and nervously. His mechanical eye is switching all over the place.
All right, bring it in really quick. I'll take a look and see what I can do. I do have other customers who have been waiting a little bit, but I'll see what I can do right now.
Thank you. Do you want it in this garage or elsewhere?
Yeah, just wheel it into the back.
Right, perfect. Thanks. And he starts to move this this bike, and it's very clunky. You've seen ones like this before. It's an old model. It's very chunky. You can look at it and you can definitely tell there's been modifications made, which probably slowing it down, but it looked cool at the time. As he sort of wheels it out to the back for you. He doesn't go in the back. You do see him very awkwardly sort of sit himself down on the chair next to the two others. He shuffles the chair slightly further away from them, and he's like, hi.
I'm gonna take a look and see if the others are paying attention.
Okay. The other clients aren't looking at all. They seem very engrossed. One of them is like belly laughing at this stream they're watching. They don't seem to really be paying much attention. In fact, they've probably been here longer than normal. The other one is just, you can hear tired sighs as she scrolls through these, what seems to be reams and reams of text.
All right, I'm gonna take a look at his bike to see what I can see what he's talking about.
Could you roll me, you probably do this often, could you roll me a difficulty of 2, please?
What do you, intellect?
Oh, yeah, sorry, intellect. Completely
Okay.
ignored that.
Let me, and let's see what that does. Did it do it?
Should go through in a second.
Oh. Effort. Oh yeah, I can expend, I'm gonna not.
Yeah, this is your thing. You look at these sorts of things all the time. You're almost sort of like, oh god, like as you look at this, you're peeling back effectively, modification after modification. And you look at this tracker, and this tracker is not something that is built into the bike. It's not one of those things that is there when you buy it.
Mm-hmm.
This has been fixed onto the bottom of it, and it doesn't seem, it looks welded onto this thing. It's not something you can just rip off quickly. And you recognize a very, very small, sort of curved, almost like moon-like symbol with some other shapes around it on the bottom, and you recognize the symbol of the supremacy on this screen, and it's underneath a panel, so you actually have to sort of dig around to find it. But the supremacy doesn't fix things to random bikes. It doesn't they're known for tracking people, but normally these people are like either for safety reasons, like some of their own people, or someone who's done something real bad and they need to know their location. But normally if someone's done something real bad, they don't come to you and tell them who they are.
Are there any like wires that I can find, or should I bust it open?
I mean, you definitely know how to disable this. You can't remove it, but you have software and stuff that you effectively plant a virus into it and wipe it. It's a standard tracker. It's more that it's stuff you've used on modifications before when someone has either wanted a mod removed or something. It's almost just like getting rid of whatever this is. And it'll probably take you a good like 20 to 30 minutes to break this open and start modifying all of it in that sense. And I'll say that Cantor, at that point, you can arrive at this shop. The shop is quite high up, so you have to go up some of these steps in the balconies to get there. And it's a big sort of open garage, and it looks out over these huge streams of traffic. And you can see this very awkward man sat there, and two other clients as you normally hang out here.
He would come in probably a little out of breath from the climb and from the odd events, but he would have his meal wrapped in foil, and he would look around to see if the owner was about, and anybody that he didn't recognize, which would probably be just about everybody, he would narrow his eyes a bit, and he would sit down on one of the stools, but instead of like kind of facing into the shop, he would slowly spin it around until he's just watching the people in the waiting room.
Okay. And this other person, this sort of like, you can definitely tell one of them is anxious. He doesn't seem to keep an eye on you. He's looking around constantly. His leg is like juddering up and down as he's trying to keep himself sort of almost like occupied. And then someone else walks up on the balcony and stands looking up at the shop sign. And where would we find Zarina in this metropolis?
Well, Zarina would probably be, at this point, maybe running out to get some groceries. Her neighbor's out of town, so she'd probably have to pick up some more fish food. She's taking care of the neighbor's fish, watering the plants, that kind of thing. So she'd probably just be walking along with a grocery bag, honestly.
Yeah, you've probably just left one of the grocery stores. There's like one huge one, which is, I say it's a grocery store. You know, the one that just sells the most random stuff? Like you'll walk in there and like the oranges will be next to the furniture, or it doesn't seem very organized.
The prices are good.
The prices are good.
And it's
great.
walking distance. So.
And most of the walkways here are either hover ones or they're firmly fixed onto the buildings. You can see some of the other stores going around. They're very much like the trams. They seem to be, you can hear them yelling from the windows of the trams as they sort of go past, you know, yelling about the freshest fruit and veg straight from Orsia are here as they yell out the window. Kind of obnoxious, but you know, he's used to it as they sort of almost fight each other for a voice.
Yeah.
And
She goes for like the discount stuff because it's all getting pureed in a blender anyway, so she doesn't need to be the freshest.
And what does Zarina look like?
So Zarina, she wears kind of like punky street clothing. She's got blue hair implants. She's got several modifications. She looks probably about half machine. She has a rebreather mask on that looks less for show than necessity, though it is pretty cool looking. And she also has a mechanical arm and just all sorts of other enhancements. She looks like she's wearing long fall boots, maybe, for Portal fans out there. Just pretty monotone in colors, lots of blues, blacks, and silvers. And about average height and face claim Gal Gadot. So.
And you sort of, are you heading back to your apartment? Are you heading back to your neighbor's apartment? Where would you be going?
Yeah, I think she'd be heading back to the apartment complex to pick up the mail, feed the neighbor's fish and electric eel, which is always really interesting. You have to make sure to use the not mechanical arm for that job. Yeah,
And you're heading, and this walkway, it's, you can see the lights go off as they beep as you come to the edge of the first walkway. And these buildings sort of tower up. Now people are starting to go home. They're starting to just start going out. The city is almost just about waking up with this nightlife. And as you reach the edge of the first walkway, you can see effectively the traffic lights start to sound as this beep comes across. The cars stop. And this walkway, you can hear the whirring as the hover sort of like starts to initiate and starts to turn, connecting you to the other walkway amongst the traffic. And you can head back to along this walkway towards your apartment complex. Is this like a well-to-do area, or is this, you know?
Yeah, she lives in a nice like condo apartment. She's got some money, so
I mean, on your way there, you've got these huge holograms of what look to be like these trees, these plants that are sort of, then you can see one of them flicker and there's someone trying to do maintenance on it just down the side as it's the image sort of flickers in and out, and you can see this bird hologram sort of fly in front of you and then burst into sort of these yellow and blue colored pixels as it doesn't quite make it, and you can hear this cursing coming from this person trying to fix it. He gives you a bit of a wave, the normal maintenance guy, and you can head back to your condo. You can see a couple of the AI with other individuals walking backwards and forwards. You can just about tell they're AI from the color of their eyes, these very gold sort of color. And what does your condo look like?
It looks very modern. It's very sleek. It's got what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like organic looking lines, but it's all made out of metal. And she's probably on one of the upper floors. So she's got a little bit of a view, not a lot, a little bit of a view, small balcony. And it's the interior is very like minimalistic modern type style.
Do you have any AI that either is a voice that helps sort of runs things in the kitchen, welcomes you home, or anything like that? This is kind of a standard, but I don't know if...
I don't think she does in her own house because she has so many mods and does so much mod testing. It's easier for her to just kind of do things herself, and sometimes rather than having to disable the AI every time she wants to test something, just leave it off, do my own thing.
Yeah, you've probably maybe had an AI at one point. You see the panel still on the wall and it's just
Deactivated.
It's not. It's deactivated, not maintained, or anything like that. And you sort of enter your apartment, and could you roll me an intellect check of 2, please?
Yes, I can do my best. 2. No effort. Just boop. Success.
Okay. You step into your apartment, you put the groceries down on the counter, and as you do, there's this moment where you know your house, you know where you put things. They look slightly out of place. Like something's moved slightly, or there's nothing broken. There's nothing dramatic, but you know
Yeah,
your stuff.
I know where I put my things. Used to get in some arguments with my ex about how things are placed in the house, so I'm very meticulous about how they are placed. So I definitely notice, and she's like, just like, ugh. And then she remembers no one else is here, and she's gonna put the cold stuff in the fridge and just look around, see if she can find anything super out of place or anything left behind. Maybe maintenance came in to change the air filter or something, but that's unlikely.
You look around, and most of it looks like, if you have any mods laying about, ones that you've been sent for testing or anything like that, they all seem to have moved. And
Okay.
you, knowing your mods, knowing stuff like that, you can tell when a scanner has been through your home. And this is kind of something that's normally on the side that is used for scanners. Tend to be like these small machines that can sort of be controlled from elsewhere, kind of like a drone. And because of the apartment thing, they don't always have to come into the place. They can, you know, a lot of people close their curtains and blinds and stuff for this reason. They usually use to eye up what you have to see if stuff is worth stealing. But there's something about this that it's only focused on the mods, nothing else. None of the other bits of sort of, you know, expensive things you have.
Yeah, I think it's probably maybe a new mechanical arm to be tested from Vade 46. She just has to get it installed. So legit mod. She just left it on the coffee table. What she's going to do is she has a scan ability, and she's going to see if she can get any residue, or let me see, I'm just going to pop the ability in there. Spend the 2 intellect.
Yeah. Roll me a straight intellect just for me to see
how
much you have.
Sure thing. She'll just go around her apartment scanning. Oof.
Okay. But you send out this scanner, and you sort of walk throughout your apartment as you send this scan around. And what does the scan look like? How does it look for Zarina?
So the scan, it looks like one of her eyes they're visually brown right now, but it just shifts in color to more of a like computer interface, like a kind of hazy whitish, slightly glowing, and she just kind of pulls up an interface in her own vision, and she just sweeps the room.
And you sweep the room.
Pretty subtle, but if you know what you're looking for, you can spot it.
And you start to sweep the room. You can walk throughout your apartment, sort of looking up and around. And you're getting these bizarre readings back, almost like an interference. But you've got a pretty good mod. You know, this is your thing. But as you step you go into the bedrooms, you go into all the extra rooms, and as you do, you step into almost like the living area. And as you scan around, as much as there's static, it's like the static is picking up in a particular direction. And you are picking up this, it's weird, it's like, it's a life form, but it's not. It's been altered. And the thing that's making you as you take back in these readings, the reason you're getting the static is because it's still in the apartment.
Okay. I grab, let's see, what room am I in currently? I imagine it's like a small guest room, main room, kitchen, living room, bathroom.
Kitchen, living room, like diner area that's open.
Yeah. I'm gonna grab maybe like the blender. Because that's heavy. Yeah. It's got blades. And kind of try to see where the static's worst. Kind of try to pinpoint it.
Okay. You move around with this blender, and you there's this section of your living room where you've got a lot of like parcels and deliveries that have come up. Normally with new mods in, normally with things like that in, and again,
and I also hit my wrist and I snap a check of my vitals and submit it to the cloud. Yeah. Like, yep, just in case. Boop.
Yeah, you send it off and you hear it click as it is received. And there's that moment where you blink as your eye whirs, and you're picking up this life form almost within one of these packages. And I think, what time is it? I think we'll take a quick 5-minute break, if that's all good for Greg.
That's fine. The suspense will be great.
Sure, yeah, it's fine. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
I'll have a blender prop by the time we get back. It'll be great.
Okay, so Zarina, you're in your apartment,
Yep.
blender to hand.
Yep.
And some of these are like metal cases as well. Like
Yeah.
some of them are to house things or block things out. But you can pick up this static and almost like a shape now as you
Ooh,
get closer.
good. I don't
you
have
can
to open
open it.
all of the boxes.
Yeah, no, you can pick up this shape and this static. And it's almost like every time you blink, you can see a bit more of this shape. And at first, you sort of see it's almost like a burn mark, is what you pick up. This residue left, and you can see as you approach with your blender around one of the sides of the boxes. There's a hole, as if something is burrowed out of it.
Yeah. I would like to pick up this package, set it on the floor, put my blender handle facing me right next to it, and with my other hand, see if I can open it up.
Yep, you can easily open it. It's got like those sort of fastenings as you open it, and you doing this like carefully, or are you doing it quick so that you can?
I think she's doing it quickly and like to the side of it.
Okay. You hear like a clacking, of metal on metal. And the best way to describe it is like little legs.
Blender.
Multiple little legs.
Smash.
Are you just smashing what's in the box, or like in the box itself looks like almost like a hand modification, something that sits in your palm and sort of integrates into your fingertips?
If that's the case, metal hand. Pick up the hand, like just pick up a finger. I'm looking for anything with legs, any mechanical bug. Looking for the bug.
Could you roll me a speed check, please?
And I've got the blender ready to smash. My hand blender.
Yep, blender smash. Yeah.
Speed check. Sure, I will do that. I'll spend some effort too. So, known. I believe I can only spend one effort at a time right now.
Yes, at the moment, yeah.
Cool. Oh my gosh.
Okay. You sort of raise up this blender, and as you sort of stare for a moment as you lift up this finger of this thing, this modification.
Like picking up a dirty glove.
Yeah, like the you see something very sort of bug-like, but definitely mechanical, scurry out, and it sort of shoots across up the hand that you're holding.
Yep.
And you recognize these things.
Oh, do I?
It's almost like a you've never seen one properly before, but these are feeders.
Oh.
These latch on to mechanical things and they drain them.
Fun.
And you can see that the hand you're currently holding up, as you hold up that finger, it just starts to fall to bits as if it was rusted and ash. And this thing sort of, you see these little sort of lights sort of whir and focus on your arm.
Yep.
As it starts to scurry up this towards you. And I will say, as it moves, you notice the legs start to grow, almost as if it folds out of itself, becoming a bigger creature.
Well, that's fun. Should have opened this in my neighbor's apartment. I could just stuck my hand in the electric eel tank. Yeah, I have the blender in the other hand still. I can fix my arm. I'm too mechanical to take a drain. So, just gonna, like a clap, just smash.
Roll a might, do us just a straight up might check for me.
Okay.
Please, as this thing
I will do that. Oh, I also have this skill.
Ooh.
It lets me, I'm trained in identifying, assessing danger, importance, function, or power. So
Okay.
if I know anything extra about this thing.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
super
So
good at
you
it.
know this thing, as a drainer, they sort of feed off of energy and particularly electrical life form energy. So
Okay.
stuff that is attached to people. It is a man-made thing. People just don't know where it's come from. You
Okay.
also know this can grow to 10 times its size
As it feeds more?
as it feeds more.
Lovely.
This is
Okay.
tiny, and also you feel this has been put in a parcel for you.
Wonderful.
And it starts.
I'm also spending effort on this roll because I'm
Mhm.
really hoping to roll higher than like a 5. Which I do not.
GM intrusion. Okay, so you take 1 XP. You get an XP. And as you do, this thing scurries up your arm. Yes, you back away from it and it drops off of your arm. But as it does, this thing starts to
Growing?
grow.
Yeah.
And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you see these legs start folding out as it does, you see these huge eyes start to fold out to the side of it as the legs get larger and larger. It's now the size of your dining room table as it's trying to sort of scurry around the side of this apartment and get towards you.
Well,
You
now
can
that
see
it's...
these almost like neon light type jaws that seem to come out. They don't look anything like physically metal, but it's like blazing.
Splendid. Okay. So, since it's the size of my dining room table now, I'm going to leave my apartment.
Could you make a speed check for me,
I
please?
will
of
I
2
will
to
try,
avoid it?
Alice. I will try. Let's see. Spending more effort because 13.
Okay, so you sort of tear through this apartment. You sort of drop the blender, or do you keep hold of the blender?
I think I'm still holding the blender. I need something to defend myself with.
Yeah, you brandish this blender and you sort of push past the kitchen and you head towards the door. As you do, this creature, almost not quite used to its size yet, clumsily crashes into the wall beside you, and you see a lot of the stuff in your groceries on the surface sort of go flying. As it starts to scurry after you, you throw your apartment door open.
Yeah.
You see some of your neighbors chatting down one end, and they look at you and they wave. What would you like to do?
Is there some type of emergency services or pest control that one usually calls in a situation like this?
You can call pest control. I don't know if they're going to get here as quick as
quickly. Yeah. I probably will just call pest control after this event just to make sure the apartment's good.
Yeah.
Are
But
all the things in your apartment legal?
I think yes. I don't because yes.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, all the things in her apartment are legal. Very fine line there.
So,
Mm-hmm.
where do you go? Are you just still running? Are you like beelining or?
I think at this point, yes. Since it seems to have me targeted, I don't want to be a target. I want to get into an area with multiple people. Maybe someone who has some type of weapon or defense. You know, more than
Absolutely.
a blender.
Yeah, you could sort of head out of your apartment. You know, you probably need to get out of this building in general right now.
Yes.
But as you could you roll me a straight up speed check for me, please? Just straight up.
Of course, Alice. I will definitely roll you that. That's a 5.
Okay. You sort of crash sort of out of your apartment, and your neighbors sort of pause for a moment and look at you, and you roll to the side down the wall as this thing comes crashing through your own apartment door, taking it half of the hinges. You can see its legs going as your door is attached to one of the legs. You hear
Wonderful.
your neighbors screaming and tear off
At least I
in
have
the
insurance.
opposite direction. And you can run as this thing starts
Yeah.
to push itself against the walls at how big it is and try and move.
I think she heads towards the stairs rather than the elevator. And when she has, because I imagine it's kind of like the walkways are open so you can get fresh air and there's like some plants, because it's a fancy apartment kind of. So she's going to get to the stairs, just probably a couple floors, and then just jump down to the ground below.
Okay, roll me. You can roll either a speed or might check, whichever
I
one you think.
will
should
also
be more.
use my Far Step ability. I will spend the 2 intellect.
Yeah. Okay. No, you're good. Yeah, roll an intellect for me for a second. Difficulty of 3. With Fast Step. Okay. What does describe how you're sort of trying to get down to the next level? What does it look like as Serena is jumping down to the next level?
She goes down like a couple, sees that she's only like 4 stories up, and then she's got these boot mods, these leg mods. They just look like boots. And so she's tested them out pretty extensively. There's still a little bit of testing left to do on them. And this will make a great report. So she just kind of like parkours over the railing.
You can see this thing sort of running almost. It seems to be sliding all over the place as it sort of crashes through one section it sort of slides past you and crashes into one of the side walls as you pull yourself over the side of this balcony. It hurts when you land. This is the first time you've tested these things. You don't quite know how to roll. You don't take any damage, but it's not elegant. You crash. You sort of hit one of the other barriers on the way down. You see the maintenance guy looking at you.
Yeah, she's kind of just goes, make a note for shock absorption.
And he looks towards you and you hear this shatter of glass as this thing kind of tumbles out of the side as it crashes. It is upside down as it has fallen onto the same pathway, and you see the maintenance man there just brandishing one of the tools like,
help!
Yes.
Help, please.
And he looks sort of over the balcony at that massive drop down far deeper into Nalmirius. He's like, help me push it over. And
I shall do my best.
He runs over you. You see him run back to his bag and pick up what's almost like this huge sort of like crowbar type thing, and this almost luminous bar on it. As he presses the button, it gets longer. How are you helping move this thing to try and flip it over the edge?
Well, he seems to be trying to use it as a fulcrum.
Yeah, he's trying to flip this thing. This is big, and you can see it as it scurries. It's trying to get back on its all of its legs, but it is getting bigger at the same time.
Yeah. Is there any? You said he was doing maintenance. Is there like the panel from that still?
Oh yeah, that's still
Grab that and help use it as a wedge for leverage. Think smarter, not harder.
Okay. Could you roll me a might check?
I will try, Alice.
I'll say
it's a cursed character sheet. That's fine. Maybe if I swap to my character's name, maybe that'll do it. Let's see. Might check. Nope.
You have this moment where he starts to lever it, and as you get under there to try and move and flip this thing, you see it starting to go over the edge where one of its legs locks on, and as it locks around the barrier, you feel the end of the leg hit you into the side of your metal arm, and you can feel it hasn't started yet, but there is a pulse as it starts to try and drain from your arm.
That's fun. If that's the case, let's see, let me look at one of my abilities here. Yeah, I am going to, in that case, activate my resonance field. just to make intellect defense rolls instead of other defense rolls.
Absolutely.
And if it does attack me, if I get a minor effect, it'll take damage. So,
Okay, could you roll me an intellect defense, please?
yes. Yes, I can.
Yeah. As you do this, you feel this thing as if it's almost like you see the extra, almost like little pincers come out open at this edge, like as it sort of jams into your arm. And as it does, this pulse is sort of emitted from your arm, and the leg itself fires back. And you see this maintenance guy sort of just reach out with his boot and just kick it off the side of this thing. And you notice on its leg as it sort of looks, as it starts to fall down through the levels of Naumerius, where it's radiated off of you, the leg starts to sort of explode and shatter, and you see a pulse running through it as the leg is fully blown off as it hits one of the cars on the way down.
Yep. Kind of just hold my shoulder for a second. Just like, thank you for your assistance.
What was that? Just, out of curiosity.
Have you heard of feeders?
Feeders? Yeah, no, I spray for them on the stuff, but they're like that big.
Not after they have eaten or fed.
Are you all right?
I will recover. Thank you for your consideration. I'm looking at it, seeing if it's twitching or if it's okay or if it's
slowly disappearing down the levels of Naumerius, hitting some of the cars on the way. You hear the screech of car horns and stuff
that's
like
fine.
that as it drops.
It's not after me right now, so that's the important part. She's like, yes. However, I regret to inform you that it destroyed my door to my apartment on level 6.
Right. You want that fixed? I mean, I could do that.
It would be nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Doors are kind of essential. Do you know what? I'll go do that now. And he sort of reaches over and pulls up the maintenance, slamming the vent shut on this tree that you see just static and fizzle out.
I will show you there, because I'm gonna scan the apartment again to make sure that wasn't just a diversion.
Thanks. And he's like, off to you.
I'll lead him up to my apartment.
Okay. And we are gonna hop over to Livewire. Where is Livewire? What does he look like? And what's he doing? Where would he be? It's sort of around 5-6 p.m. now. The city's waking up. You can have a lot of the bars are starting to open. You hear the music. Where would Livewire be?
So, I don't know if you've ever seen the Jersey Shore or the Geordie Shore.
Is it like The Only Way is Essex?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's exactly like that. So there are bars that are high-class bars, but they're not at all high-class bars. Like if you are super chavvy and like completely ridiculous and terrible, you might think this is a high-class bar because there might be some neon there or something, but it is not. It is super trashy, except that it's got a lot of like neon and excitement. And Livewire is not in a fight, but two feminine figures are in a cat fight, and they're yelling and they're throwing drinks at each other, and it is this whole big scene, like a table's being knocked over, and Livewire is trying to pull them apart, but making sure also that I get all the best angles for this situation. Like this is not anybody that I'm like, I don't necessarily know these people. I might have told one person that somebody else said something about somebody else's boyfriend in order to help get this fight happening, but the fight has happened. I am not in the fight. I might have instigated it, but I'm not in the fight. But it's the moment, and I'm just trying to pull the fight apart and also egging it on a little. So there's this like insane, very loud cursing, yelling, excitement, and I'm just there in the thick of it, trying to look like I'm being helpful.
What do you look like?
Who's asking?
Probably the women right now.
Okay, what do they think I look like?
What do you want them to think you look like?
I don't get that choice. It's
They
what
see
is most appealing to them.
the main one in particular that is sort of, as they sort of tumble over each other. You're probably quite tall right now, very dark hair, very dark looks, those stern eyes as you're. Would you wear nice clothes? You're in a club.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're sort of getting this from all angles, and you can hear the music going, the lights are going, the neon sort of like it's almost making everything look very psychedelic as things like crash as you hear that smash of glasses.
It's probably a little bit too early for them to be this drunk, but you know how it is.
And you've got behind the bar, you've got this Zakarin, which is this fairly tall sort of individual. They're very, very a very common race amongst this. They tend to you recognize this one, very blue skin. This one is female, so they have almost very sort of long bat-like ears. She blinks at you sideways, and it's got very bug-like eyes, smooth skin. There's no hair at all, and lots of these sort of markings and tattoos all over her. As she looks at you, just cleaning a glass and shaking her head, I feel like this is probably a common occurrence.
Sometimes.
And she sort of looks at you and just shakes her head as she sort of disgruntles, pours you another drink.
And so I imagine for them, for this couple, I'm probably really beefy and super dark tan that makes it looks a little fake as well, and hair sort of gelled and perhaps a little bit too shiny, and like sort of this dark brooding sort of beef dude. That's what, at least what they see. And I wink at the Zakarian, and what nobody here can hear, unless perhaps you might be on the internet, you hear this sort of voiceover, which is something like, yeah, Sherry and Jane are never going to go and become friends again after this. But I think I just got hit in the back of the head with a bottle of shandy. I hope that you're all catching this. I hope that you all find this interesting. I hope this is making your day. And like nobody's no, I'm not saying that out loud, but there's a bit of a voiceover as this cacophony happens.
As you're watching this and you're sort of like focusing as you say this, you feel sort of like a kick at your boot, and you hear a voice. So this is the entertainment you're going for now. And you recognize Connie's voice almost immediately. This very sort of just under 4 foot tall Orsari, and these huge wide eyes that she has, a pair of massive goggles sat on top of her head. You see the feathers sort of poking out of them, these sort of very red and orange colors. She's in this flight suit. You guessing she never normally changes out of it. She's always in this. Her little wiry arms, you can see there's holes for the feathers, almost like wings at the end. And she looks at you, and she kicks you again with her heavy boot.
It's, to be very clear, what happens is that when I get kicked, I start to look, and the minute I recognize a little bit of the feather, I turn off the feed. And what do I look like to Connie? What does Connie see?
Connie sees you as kind of someone who can blend into a crowd. Someone who is, I guess the best way to say it is plain looking, not too smart, not too scruffy. Everything is very simple. The clothes are simple. The most probably it is like a stubble across your chin, and very, very green eyes. And she looks at you Is this the sort of content you want to be putting out?
It's what gets the views, Connie. And
Ah, yes, the views.
and
Now, buy
Livewire
me.
just sort of drops Jane and kind of lets them go at it and turns to sort of like move away from this scene with Connie.
She looks at you up and down, and she looks quite high up. And she's, now, buy me a drink. I'm going to go sit in that booth over there. I've got something to tell you.
Oh, of course. And Livewire sort of moves through the crowd, and for some people, Livewire is like this big juice head. For some people, Livewire is like a svelte young woman. For some people, Livewire is a sort of slightly older gentleman who looks like an easy mark. It just sort of depends on who you are. And Livewire goes up to the Zakarian, gives a wink, and says, "You know, your bar is going to have a lot more customers for the next couple of days."
And she leans over. If they're customers like you, I don't want them.
Oh, come on.
Look at my tables. And she sort of like passes it, and you can see that there's like this crash sort of going over. Sort of the glasses are shattered everywhere.
I'm just saying, a lot of profit will probably come from this. All publicity is good publicity, right?
Why, are you going to pay for it?
No, but I bet they will. They've got money.
Do you want a drink or not?
Yes, could I have two? Could I have a purple moon and, looking over at Connie, I think a new fashioned.
Coming right up. And she sort of moves over, and you can see her eyes almost very much as blue as her skin, as these huge ears. She's tied back. She's in sort of like this vest that is made up of colors. You can see that the colors are sort of moving towards them with the music at the same time. And she heads over and starts pouring these drinks, and very soon they're in front of you. She slides them in front. I said, there you go. Shall I put it on the tab?
Thank you very much. I
Mm.
appreciate it. And
She sort of looks over towards the booth, where you can see Connie is sort of like hitched herself up on the booth and shuffling in because her legs don't quite touch the floor. And you can see her very small sort of mechanical bird has sort of perched itself on the chair as well as it sort of hops around it.
And Liveware just goes from the break screen, you know, the break screen, which is currently visible, back onto live feed, and just sees the drinks, just like looking at the drinks, and there's the voiceovers like, we've got a purple moon and a new fashioned, some of the best drinks you can find on this side of town, and then just like name checks the bar and like just gives a good Instagram style look at these drinks for a moment, and then as it's turning, goes back to break screen and sort of heads over to the booth where Connie is and hands her the new fashioned.
Yeah, as you do, she sort of reaches out with her arms and pulls it towards herself. She reaches in, pulls out this what looks like a very short stick, clicks it, and this straw sort of appears, and she puts it in, drags it, and you can hear that very loud sort of, like she sort of sucks this liquid out of it. It's very brightly colored. There's some weird fruit sort of perched across the side, and you can also see this bird sort of its beak clacking in her direction. So, your this is your casual hangout now.
Oh, I try not to go to too many places the same time. I try to mix it up. It's better for views. Also, then no one can find me.
Right. Of course. And she sort of pushes the bird away as it's trying to get towards the drink. How have you been? In general.
Oh, Connie, how have you been?
I asked you first.
Did you?
I did.
How's travel? Any news? Any gossip?
Gossip, news, concern, depends what you mean. Yes. And she sort of pauses and takes another drink. I'm kind of here to give you a little bit of a heads up, actually.
Oh, okay. And he just sort of leans in a little closer, just in case, and sort of Yeah.
And she looks over, is like,
As you can tell, this is not Steve 1.0.
she points towards the bird, and you can see slight difference.
This is Steve 0.5.
And Liveware just pets the top of Steve's
It does that thing where
mechanical
it
head.
tries to like retract away from you, but it does let you. So,
There are things being sent out that are draining machines. And I don't know what they're doing, but they're attacking my things and my stock, and I don't like it. And you work in streaming and things like that, and they start off by hacking.
Oh. Okay.
Just so you're aware. Also, other slight problem. I don't know if you remember George, and George, my AI who helps me, with things on the ship.
George's pretty charming.
George was pretty charming. George is no more.
What happened to George?
This is the thing. I've noticed these things seem to be very focused on AI.
Oh.
And they're going after them.
Do you know where they're coming from? Or where they originated from?
No, this is the thing. All of their lines and trackers and things like that are gone.
Oh.
All of the record stuff, the normal stuff that I can pick up, all gone. Vermooshed, disappeared.
and she sort of drinks from her drink again.
Do you have anything you want me to store at my place?
Yes, I want you to take Steve.
And she gestures towards the bird.
Oh. But then you won't have Steve.
No, but Steve will be alive if you have Steve.
Okay, I can. Hey, is your ship gonna be okay?
Yes, no one touches my ship.
And she sort of shifts the goggles sort of on top of her head slightly awkwardly as one of the feathers gets stuck.
I know a mechanic's pretty good. They could look at your ship and see if they could do something with George.
You know everyone. Can they be trusted with George?
Yes.
She looks at you slightly.
I know
Awkwardly.
people who can be trusted with things and who are discreet.
Discreet?
And she looks over to the two women in the bar that are currently crashed over the side of the tables. Is that
More discreet than that, I hope.
Oh, you know how great that is? First
No.
off, okay, Connie, I have 5 more views than I had yesterday. My numbers are growing. But also, when that's happening,
Consistent content is good content. That's what you said, right?
consistent content is good content. Also, people seem to like really trashy content. I don't know why, but they do.
she's looking over at this, as you can see, the bartender is walking around trying to kind of break it off now.
I mean, it's not exactly subtle.
No, people don't like subtle. But here's the thing, while that's going on, no one's paying attention to us talking.
As she sort of gives that very sort of hesitant eye roll of, you're right.
So, this person could fix George.
Maybe, but more importantly, this person probably would not tell anyone about it. They're not far.
You take me there?
Yes. But that means I'm going to be on break screen. Hold on. And I start rebroadcasting when I got into a hover bike race, so that I make sure that there's some content so that, I don't lose viewers, so people don't get bored. It's a rerun. It'll be fine. Yeah. Come on. I already gave this bar enough publicity.
And she sort of gives you a bit of a smile and sighs and shuffles towards the end of the booth and hops off. At the end,
You can take my bike.
Ooh.
I mean,
Fine.
oh,
No, viewers like bike rides. It's just that I never film you.
which is much appreciated.
People don't need to know who I actually like.
oh,
So you do like me? I'm starting to wonder.
Yeah.
Okay, well hurry up.
All
Because I
right.
left my bike parked outside.
Come on, Steve.
And Steve does that awkward like bird run across the table before taking off and sort of briefly landing on the top of Connie's head, not the shoulder. Is on top of the head as you head out.
And I just sort of like wink to the bartender, and I just give like the big old okay sign because
you get a less friendly gesture back.
oh. And I just make sure on the way out, I just give like a little brief flash of like the name and the big facade of the bar, and see if I can like zoom in on a little bit of excitement for people who like to looky-loo and then go back off to my pre-recorded content.
Yeah, you step outside and it's this balcony. You can see all the traffic below and above as you look up as these moons have started to come over the top. And the bike is there. It's a very snazzy bike. She takes care of it. It looks nice. You can see a huge box on the back which says George printed on the top of it. And she heads over and swings her leg over the front. And come on in.
I hop on and I just mumble to myself, this would make such a good stream. And I hold on to her right around her waist.
And as you like, her waist is like, you can feel it, it's so small compared to like your arms as she sort of, you see these goggles sort of come down and her eyes magnify as they do, and you see these sort of holograms sort of come up around them as they do. She's like, okay, stomach might drop, and she just pulls this thing and the bike just plummets down towards
That's
the
the best
correct
part.
hover section.
Best part.
And you feel it kick in and you head off towards the shop. And we're going to head over to Hybria. Where would Hybria be and what does she look like?
So Hybria is probably in, where do all the people go to get modded illegally? Like the black mod market is where she would be.
The black market is on one of the lowest levels. You actually feel concrete below your feet. Solid concrete. And if you're walking around there, you sort of, if you're directly in the black market already, you are, it's almost like this huge, it feels like a huge warehouse that never ends, of all of these stalls, of all of these places, of all of these shops built into sort of whatever wall or metal sort of container they can. It is all over the place. It's all higgledy-piggledy. Everything is sort of stacked up. You hear, it's like that constant high-pitched screech from like when you can hear wires that are powering too much and things. There's lights everywhere. It's a real humdrum of everything, and you almost feel like you're in a club at some point because of all of these bright colors and everything going on.
Cool.
Would you be with anyone or would you be on your own?
I think I'm on my own, and it's a good thing that there's concrete because she's wearing like, okay, so general physical description, she's very tall and human, Asian human, and like very strikingly almost like too sharp, kind of beautiful, tall, slender, looks very supermodel-esque. And yeah, it's a good thing that there's concrete because she is wearing these like knee-high boots with like a good heel on them, like this tall, and her whole outfit, she definitely stands out because her whole outfit looks like if a fashion designer was like, let's go to the black market, but it's a fashion designer and like haute couture fashion. So she's wearing this like baggy, sparkly like jacket with like this black crop top and like super tight high-waisted like leather pants and these crazy leather boots, and she is walking stiffly and looks very rich in a very sketchy neighborhood by herself.
Yeah, you as you're walking through this, like the clack of the boots and heels, whatever, are on that concrete, and you're seeing people. There's a couple that are just at their stall, don't seem to be doing much. They've got their feet up. Some of them, you can see a lot of mix here. There's humans. There's just every race here, all doing different things. One of them in particular, you you can see a Martite that is working at a shop, sort of working on multiple people as they have 4 arms as they're going. You see their heads switch every now and then. You can see this group of Osirians with their brightly colored feathers sort of strolling past you with a lot of gear sort of piled up. And you're getting looks like you don't look like you belong here. And you're turning heads and you're not sure if it's for a good reason or for a bad reason.
That's fine. I feel like her head is turning also, like very stiffly from side to side. Like she looks like she's looking for something. And she's carrying something in her hand that looks like a piece of paper. And she is intently focused on finding, obviously there aren't signs everywhere that are like, get your illegal mods here. But you know, she's on the hunt for people who would do illegal mods, especially mods that involve any kind of like beauty or like adrenaline, you know, dopamine type stuff.
Yeah, you can definitely find some stores like that. You can see what looks like I want to say human. You can tell they were fully human at some point, but almost one entire half of their body now looks mechanical. You can see that even the hair on one side looks to be artificial. It's not good artificial. It is brightly colored, almost like streamers going down one side of the head as they sit there, and they seem to be tweaking on some of these mods as you can sort of see them working away, and they look up to you. And she sort of tilts her head. You can see a small sort of mechanical, almost cat-like creature sort of sat across her shoulders, but its eyes are blinking, almost like an alert as you come close enough to the stool. And she looks at you. Yes?
I look at her and I say, hello, my name is Zhen Feng Mingzhu Hybria. I am looking for someone, and I'll slide the paper in my hand towards her, and it's a photo of a very attractive Asian man, and I'm gonna say, this is Zhenfeng Liwei Archer. Have you seen him, or anyone like him? He doesn't look like this anymore, unfortunately, because of you people.
Me people. Right, okay. And she sort of like leans forward and takes the picture, looks at it, looks at you, looks at it, looks at you. So what if I have seen him?
If you have seen him, that information is valuable to me, and when things are valuable to me, I am very likely to pay good money for them. I have money.
How much money you got?
I'm certainly not going to give you all of the money. When I understand the value of your information, then I will assign a value to the money in exchange for the information.
And this person looks at you just for quite a little bit, looks again back at the picture. Maybe I have seen him. And when you say don't look like the picture, why are you carrying around a picture that they don't look like anymore?
Well, it is all that I have, unfortunately, in my search. I am unable to find out what they look like currently. Otherwise, I would be able to be with the person, and then I would know what they look like.
So what is this? Is this like a boyfriend, a friend, or what? What is it?
This is my honored older brother, Zhenfeng Liwei Archer.
Yeah, no, I got the name.
He is missing.
I figured, right? Okay. And you can see they sort of pick this cat off that sort of like arches its back, and you see this ripple of what looks like metal plates as it arches up and puts it down. What are you gonna give me? Like, show me if I tell you maybe where this person is?
That depends on how recent your information is. If they have been spotted in the past week or 2 weeks, that would be much more valuable than if you had seen them in the past month or 2 months.
Do you come down here often?
No. Does it seem like I do? I don't want it to seem like I do.
No, it's all right. It don't seem like that, like, at all. No, I ain't seen him. I've heard the name Archer, though.
May I inquire as to who you have heard this name from? And I will take I don't know what the physical form of credits is or the way to dispense them.
Beam it
Yeah.
over. Beam it with
Yeah.
your like little like, you know, beamy
Yeah.
creds. I don't know.
Yeah,
Look
you sort of you can go
uncomfortable.
to sort of beam them effectively over, and he goes, no, I take half creds, not anything else. I'm not tracing anything.
Half creds.
Yeah, the little disc things. I don't know if you.
Do I have any of those?
Do you think she would?
Probably not. But now she knows about them,
Yeah.
so she's gonna get some.
She look like this person looks at you and is like, look, if you got anything on your tool that could be of some interest in me.
Oh, perhaps this. And she'll pull like a ring off of her finger that's, I don't know what kind of gems are valuable, if diamonds are still the thing or whatever, but it's expensive looking.
And they sort of reach out and take it and look at it. Is this like some sort of family heirloom or something?
Oh no, we have lots of those.
You have lots of these, right? Okay. Good to know.
It's not special. It's just valuable.
I just one heads up. One, I will take this. Two, after you've answered a question down here, don't give any more information. Okay.
Okay. That is valuable information. Thank you for your assistance.
And he just sort of like holds the hand up and is like, if you head up to the upper sectors, there are some clubs up there. I've heard he's up in one of those, right? Worked behind a bar for a bit. You want to look for, I can't remember his name. Martel? Something like that. Yeah. I don't have a photo of him, if that helps.
Do you have a description of this person that I might be able to use to identify who they are?
You see him take a long sigh. It's like, I do. He's about 6'2", red hair, blue eyes, very loud, and normally sat at the bar. He's got a very distinct smell about him.
Is this person a human or some other life form?
They are human.
Human, excellent.
Just about.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your assistance. I do hope that ring will provide you with many, what was it, half credits, you said?
The ring's fine.
Adieu.
Adieu. Like, as he sort of like, as she sort of goes to he sort of hands this ring over to the cat that sort of crunches it slightly to see what it's like up, and you see some readings pop up as it goes. And he does like lean over and watch you go. So maybe don't talk to everyone. Like, leave here as soon as possible kind of thing. You're gonna get yourself into trouble.
Oh yes, I must go to the upper levels to the clubs where I will find Martel, the mostly human. Thank you again for your assistance.
Don't yell, yeah. Just, and he's like making that gesture for you to just go. And you walk past quite a few people. You see some AI, you see some very sort of clunky robots that are being worked on. You can see some bikes and things like that as you start to head your way up the upper levels. Could you roll me an intellect check of 2, please?
Yes, I can figure out how to use this thing. So difficulty 2?
Mm-hmm. Difficulty 2.
Cool. Effort to roll? No effort. Oh, no,
Oof.
bad.
Okay. You can take an XP. You start walking up the other levels. And this place is like a maze. You don't know exactly where you're going. You can feel like this world of, as you get lost. But you have this sense that someone is following you. maybe at first you think they're just headed in the same direction, but after a while, it's not like you can see them because you're in the crowds as you head up the levels, but you can feel it.
As she's walking, she'll kind of almost look like she's stumbling for a second, but she'll reach down and she'll press a button on her boots, and the heels will retract, so they are now flat boots. And she'll keep walking.
And as you walk, you can feel this person coming closer and closer until they're walking next to you. And they walk right next to you. This woman with long, sort of brown hair, loosely tied back, dressed in white with this blue sort of sash sort of across them. Eyes completely white. And she walks beside you. Doesn't acknowledge you, doesn't talk to you. She is keeping pace. And she's about this far, like almost shoulder to shoulder with you.
I'll just keep walking also. This seems normal. This is fine.
And you start heading up the steps, and you walk along one of these walkways. And she walks with you in silence for about 10 minutes. You're not from around here.
Oh, hello. No, I am not.
Where are you from?
I am from a different planet. I am from, looking up the name, Orciara. Orciara.
Then why are you here?
I am on a quest to find somebody, and I'll show her the photo, and I'll say, I am seeking out my esteemed older brother, Zhenfeng Liwei Archer.
And she holds the picture. She doesn't put it in front of her face, but she holds it. I don't know this person.
Well, that is disappointing, but thank you for your attempt to assist me.
And it's quiet again for a bit. You're going the wrong way.
Am I? I was seeking a club that is owned by a man named Martel. It is on the upper levels.
But you're looking for Archer.
Yes.
That's the name in your head right now.
Yes.
You're going the wrong way.
Oh,
And she actually stops for a moment. You feel wrong. Like a blip.
Well, I must express disappointment that you would have that perception of me when we have just met. I apologize if I have done anything to offend you, but I do appreciate your assistance in finding my esteemed older brother, Zhenfeng Liwei Archer.
And she stops and turns and puts a hand on your upper arm. You can just feel this cold sort of run through you, almost like a shiver. She's, it's not a bad thing to be wrong.
All right.
And she lets go and starts to move again. And she looks back briefly. You're not the person I'm looking for. And walks away.
You are also not the person I'm looking for. But now I don't know where to look. And I feel like she just stands there.
You can see her walk up the steps, and you're up on one of the other levels where a lot of the fixtures and the garages and places like this tend to be. And this woman sort of steps outside this huge, what looks like a running platform where cars can sort of come into this garage and be maintained and things like that. And she's just looking up at the sign fairly lazily, almost as if she's trying to reach out. And Loxie, what is the name of your garage effectively?
My excuse me. It's called Anshin's Machines.
Mhm. And what does the sign look like? Is it like neon, or is it just painted on, or what is it?
It is a neon sign, but it's been up for a while, so it's a little like it sort of fritzes and sparks a little bit. Not dangerously, it just, you know, obviously hasn't been. It's not pristine.
Like there's no like letter hanging off or anything like that.
No,
It's just,
no,
like-
it's just kind of like, you know, and it's just an old neon sign. So it's like all the lights are mostly there, all the letters are visible, but they're like maybe like a section of one letter is out.
Okay. And Hyra, you see her stood outside this. You also see this bike pull up as it lands, and Livewire, Connie guides you in through on this bike as it sort of, she narrowly misses this person, and she does it very cockily. It looks almost intentional as you see this person sort of almost like robes or jacket sort of flare up as she sort of whizzes past and sort of skids into this place. And Cantor, you have this bike come sort of skidding towards you. It does stop with enough distance, but this Osirian lifts up her goggles and gives you a big grin. Cantor is like, are you the mechanic?
Yeah, I'm gonna like look at my watch, have the time like project up, and like look at my the line of people already waiting in my room, and be like, all right, what do you need?
Well, actually, it's about my friend George, and she starts unloading this case and puts it down on the floor.
You know this one? I'm gonna gesture to Livewire.
Yeah, no, I do.
Loxy's just gonna look at Livewire. Is your thing going?
Oh, you're muted, Livewire.
Livewire, are you
Pro
muted?
streamer.
You might want to check your stream
Literally
mic.
pro streamer.
Sorry, I was voiceover. Is
Yeah.
Loxy wearing her AR goggles right now or not?
No, they're probably on her forehead.
Then Loxy sees sort of a tall man in a sort of a wrestling mask, like a luchador mask, so you can't see his face. Wearing like a sort of slightly sort of like shirt with a rumpled tie and a hat, so that if you enough that like clearly made to move and to sort of move around the space, be able to go in and out. And that's not at all what he looks like when you have your goggles on, but that's what he looks like when you don't. And he's sort of like a sort of Latino guy. Works out, but he also like he clearly like at one time you're like, oh, he worked out a lot, right? He's got perfect teeth and all that, but he also looks like he's a little scruffy. He looks like he's doesn't sleep enough, and it's been a hard time period, right? Like is that person that was like all of that and now is probably not sleeping well and not eating well, and you know, it's a kind of that sort of interesting space.
Huh. Loxy's just gonna flip the goggles down really quick.
What do I look like when you have your goggles on? What would be the most appealing to you?
You look like you have money. There's probably some keys to a high-end hover car hanging from your belt loop. Flip my goggles back up. All right.
I look like the clothes were once nice, but now they're not as nice, right? I like
probably
the sign.
Like a few seasons late.
A few seasons late. They were nice at one point in time, but it's a few seasons late. A little bit like your sign, right? There was the time.
Yeah.
Seeing Livewire disappear, I am just going to like zip over there with this crazy like grace and agility and just appear beside Livewire in some way and just say, "You, I recognize you." And I think that she would see Livewire as, you know, it's most appealing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a Chinese man in his like early 40s who is a businessman and wearing a suit. And she'll just say, "You, I recognize you. You ran an expose on my esteemed older brother, Zhenfang Liwei Archer. This man. He is now missing because of you. Do you remember me? I am Zhenfang Mingzhu Hybria."
Oh, wow. And he bows.
Connie crosses her arms and looks up at you.
What are you doing on this planet?
I am searching for my esteemed older brother, Zhenfang Liwei Archer, who has gone missing after you ran your expose on him. My parents believe that he is dead, and many of us believe that he is dead, but I know for a fact, because of your expose, that he is alive. So it is quite coincidental to run into you here and perhaps inquire if you know anything further about my brother's whereabouts. Also, and she'll turn to Loxy, I apologize for interrupting your earlier conversation.
It's all right. If you're gonna be talking this loudly, do you mind taking it a little bit farther away?
Oh, absolutely. And she'll take 2 big steps
Thanks.
backwards.
Mingzhu, people also think I'm dead, so maybe not with the volume so much.
I apologize for inconveniencing you.
No. It's just really good if everybody keeps thinking I'm dead.
Well, that might be good for you, but it would be less good for my esteemed older brother, which is why I must find him and prove to everyone that he is not dead and he is fully capable of returning to our family and our society.
Look, there are people. One moment. Hey, Loxy,
Yeah.
this is my friend Connie. She has a pickle for you that you might find really interesting as a puzzle. I know you like difficult puzzles. I know that excites you. This is a puzzle. It's a puzzle. Bit of a mystery.
I mean,
lifts this box up. It's George.
In the background, as all this would begin, and there's a queue of people continuing, Cantor would sigh and take off his jacket and grab like a some type of apron off the wall that is probably his. We're not sure. And he puts it on, and he would start to say, "All right, who's here for something that's not important?" And everybody, everything's important. No, let me decide. And he just starts like classifying everybody off in the corner just to make sure that Loxy has like an order of importance and people that can come back tomorrow do so. That's it.
Loxy's gonna give like Canna really like just like a salute gesture and be like, "Thank you." He's gonna look at her watch again. It's like hour to close.
Yeah, you've literally got like an hour left of closing time. Those same clients are sat there doing exactly the same thing. The nervous one, however, seems to be a bit fidgety and has walked over. You can see walking over to Cantor as they're getting a little bit jittery and.
I have already hooked up a box to the jittery guy's bike. It looks like something you would use to like jumpstart a car or a hover bike in this case, but it's actually feeding. So I have a tinker trait, so I can take a device and use it for a different purpose than it was originally intended for. And so I've created this to look like just something that would be in a shop, but it is actually a computer running malware.
Nice, yeah.
So that's just running on his bike, and I'm just gonna gesture and like give him like a thumbs up, be like, "You're okay."
And he sort of gives you a shaky sort of thumbs up as he walks over to Cantor and he's like, "Are you Are you Cantor? That's how you say it, right? I heard her say your name.
Yes, it is. How can I help you?
Could I have a word? Just a word. I need to go.
I'm pretty busy.
quick.
I've come out of retirement to create a line, but...
Oh, okay. I'm sure it's nothing. It's just me being a bit...
No,
I need to
everybody,
get going anyway.
everybody just queue up. Just queue. No, you're behind. Whatever. Line. Okay. What do you need?
Okay. Can we go somewhere a little bit more not by the line?
He sighs and takes off the apron and takes the jacket and puts the jacket on, much like a irritated Mr. Rogers.
And sort of looks to you as like, is there somewhere, do you want to stand outside, or do you want to go in the back where my bike is, or what?
You want the quiet, your call.
And he looks over at Lox and he's like, can I borrow out there by my bike? Just for a minute. I won't touch anything. He's even with me.
I'll be with him. He won't steal nothing.
Yeah, Cantor, just make sure he doesn't touch anything.
Right.
And find out who recommended him, please.
Sure.
He sort of looks at you as he heads to the back room where his bike is. You can see it's all hooked up to all this malware stuff that you're going through. And he, as the door closes, Cantori looks to you. He's like, you seem familiar to me, and I don't know why. Do I seem familiar to you?
No.
No. Okay. This is gonna sound really weird. Okay, and I know lots of people say this all the time, but I'm being followed, and I need to give you something. Maybe just store it somewhere. Just keep it away from something, you know. Just you know, keep it away. You know.
Does this thing explode?
No. Why would it explode?
I don't know. That's what I would want away from me.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't do that at all.
Okay.
Okay. And he sort of walks over to his bike and opens up one of the cases and pulls out what looks like a metal package, as if it's like kind of like lead line, so it can't be scanned through or anything, and like that, and closes it. He's like, if you could, no offense, you seem to blend in a lot.
None taken.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm Corby. If that helps.
Sure thing, Corby. Are you coming back for this, or do you want me to just hold on to it?
Hold on to it for now. I'm planning on being back around here in the next 2 days. You know.
Okay. All right. Did you plan on coming back here? You know, like before you came here, you thought I'll come back in a few days?
Well, yes.
Good.
What?
I'd like to erase his memories of him giving this to me.
Mm-hmm. Roll an intellect just to see like the impact.
No diff. You want me to just go straight up?
Just roll is straight up, and let's see. Okay.
6.
Describe what it looks like as you wipe his memories.
He would reach up and kind of maybe go for a handshake and do the double handshake where he takes him by the wrist, having tucked the package beneath his arm. And as he grabs hold of the wrist, even if it's augmented or flesh, his own hands would begin to glow with almost a circuitry around the thumb and forefinger as he would use the body electric inside this guy to travel up to his mind, draws the last 2 minutes from his head, and stores it in his own.
And as you do this, you can see him sort of blink a couple of times, almost like when you get like a piercing headache for a second. And he weirdly seems to relax a little bit. And you almost feel a slight bit of nervousness, but you know you're picking it up off of him, not anything else. And he sort of relaxes a tiny bit. And he's like, my bike done?
Yeah, your bike's done.
Oh, fantastic. I better be going then. Sort of looks awkwardly to one side. and takes hold of the bike handles, disconnects everything, and starts to wheel it out of the back as the door is opened.
Cantor, as soon as he's alone, is going to look and see what he was given.
Okay.
If
Did
it's
you sort of
if it's a
go to-
bug, I am going to leave. I'm turning off the screen.
It is
That's
locked.
a very valid strategy.
Right.
This thing is locked, like heavy duty locked. You can't seem to open it here. You think you'd need something else to at least pry it
Well,
open?
you're saying heavy duty for Cantor, but like heavy duty for locks?
For locks.
Okay.
For locks itself. This doesn't look like something that could, and you can definitely tell this is a material, this doesn't get scanned through. There's probably a reason it's in this box, as it does. And you sort of stand there and you're trying to open it, and the rest of you, as you're sort of queued up, you've got this, you've got Loxy sort of doing the other job. You've got the two other clients that seem to be getting up and getting a bit irritable now. You've got Livewire and Hybria, and Cantor, as you walk out, you see that woman again, in white. She stands by the entrance of the door. And this man comes out pushing his bike, and he stops in front of her and goes, "Oh, good evening." And she draws out a pistol and shoots him dead in the head. And he drops to the floor. And the bike crashes to the ground. And I think we'll leave it there until we go for next week. That's right with you, Greg.
Holy smokes!
What's going on in my shop?
What?
These
Just
people
wanna
brought
My
me out.
house.
That was in the front of your shop, so I suppose it's totally different.
Does it count when you take notes for a session and all there are question marks on the page? This looks like the Riddler's battle plan to take over New York, or Gotham City. I have no clue. I love this. Alice, if you want, I'll take a round and say everybody. Let's start with Lindy. Lindy, how are you, my friend?
Hi.
Where can we find you online? What the fuck is going on?
I'm doing better than Zarina's rolls thus far in the game. Really excited for sundown and the noises to stop. But this was so much fun. I was not expecting to be nearly assassinated in session 1.
Good times.
Good times, fun stuff. Definitely going to be investigating that packaging that's there, scanning the apartment while Mr. Maintenance fixes the door. I'm really excited for next week. There's so many questions. I can't wait to meet up with everybody else who are apparently going to be recovering from witnessing cold-blooded murder. That'll be great. You can find me online at LaughLoveLindy on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, etc. I play and stream a lot of tabletop RPGs. You can check out my channel every Monday and Tuesday. We might have aliens tonight. I don't know. Stuff keeps happening. You'll see it on Twitter when it's happening. And it'll be good.
Absolutely, it's fantastic. I just want to say that in the backstage chat, the maintenance man receiving a ton of love.
Oh yeah. Yes. VIP.
Absolutely. Let's drop down to somebody who's brand new to the channel. Miss Sparks, how are you and where can we find you online? I absolutely loved the retractable heels. That was the thing I liked the least, and I love that about your character. Absolutely
Thank
fantastic.
Yay. Well, it's a pleasure to be on this channel for the first time, playing with all these amazing people. Everyone's stories were just so good. And oh my God, Alice, so many feels for you. But yeah, this is my moment, so I'll talk about me, I guess. My name is Lily Sparks. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Lily Sparks with an X. I'm currently on hiatus, but you can still go there, and I have links to all of the stuff that I am still doing, which is my Patreon, my OnlyFans, and my streaming. So whole stream schedule is there. I'm currently playing in 2 D&D games and a game on the Scraticus channel with Alice, where we play werewolves, and I have upcoming streams coming up. So yeah, find me in places, and I'll be back on social media eventually. But yes, thank you for having me here, and I'm so excited for next week. Oh my goodness, so many feels. I'm too excited.
Unreal. I'm going to jump over someone who also is brand new to the channel. Erica, how are you, my friend? And where can we find you online?
You can find me everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch at @AStylePixie. And I stream every, Monday through Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Time, I don't remember, with Daylight Savings Time. You know what I'm saying. And I also am part of an all-girl D&D group called Girls Guts Glory. And you can find us on the internet at Girls Guts Glory.
Awesome. Fantastic. Let us go around to Trooper. Trooper, my friend. I'm go ahead, buddy. How are you? Where can we find you online?
I just, point of order, on our backstage chat, the last comment, and I just think this needs to be said for the audience. So somebody just gets shot in the head, falls off their bike, and someone in chat, not me, but somebody who's Lindy, says, "Free bike?" And I think that's that's fair. That's fair. My character Livewire is really upset that he was not streaming that, because that would have been thing for stream. But this is what happens when you're not always streaming all the time, 24/7. You miss moments like this. This is very disappointing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Like times 30,000, times infinity. This is, what a great cast. What a great setup. I was on the edge of my seat multiple times, and that's it. But you can find me. I'm Trooper SJP. You can find me here at Trooper SJP. That's my channel. Also here at Tales from the Grim for Aether's Walkway. Tonight at 7 p.m. I'm GMing City of Light and Shadow, a Fate French Resistance campaign. And also Tales from the Grim on Sunday at 1 p.m. for Seraphim Station, GM'd by, I'm pointing, you can't see who I'm pointing to because I'm pointing to the Zoom person. Thank you. GM'd by Greg. And all of that is really good. That's me. You can find me on Twitter at academic foxhole if you like. Also so amazing.
I couldn't agree more. I'm going to go super quick because I can't really formulate sentences at this point. But I will just say this. Alice, an amazing story to start us all off. Everybody's character had that wonderful moment just to kind of give us a taste of what we can expect to have, and you set that up perfectly. But I don't think I have ever been placed into a world that I've never been in any other setting, any other game or session, that I immediately felt connected to. The metallic arch of the cat, that was one of the coolest visual images I have ever experienced, whether it be in a book, movie, TV show, or streaming. Absolutely unreal. Those elements don't make a good game master. They don't make a great game master. They make a legendary game master. And that is, my friend, is exactly what you are. Absolutely fantastic. I couldn't be more hype for this game. The cast is ridiculous. I feel like this is one of those moments where, being an old guy myself, I see all of these fantastic RPers just sprinting down the street, and I haven't stretched. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that's where I am. Grimjack21502 on the Twitter. Please make sure you follow up here to see when we go live for next Friday for Aether's Walkway. Why can't it be Friday? Why is Friday not now again?
And
Alice?
Also, I want to know what Cantor sees when he sees Livewire. I want to know, what is your most appealing vision.
Next week we'll check that out.
I know, I'm so excited.
Alice, my incredible friend, how are you? And where can we find you online?
Well, first of all, thank you for running with this brand new world that is in my head, because I love all of these characters in them. I think it's going to be insane in all the best ways, and I love it so much. Again, is it Friday yet? I can't wait already. I was so nervous through this, so thank you for making me feel like comfortable and everything like this. I love all the characters. Lindy, I would say I'm sorry for attacking you with a giant spider thing, but I'm not.
I understand.
And I enjoyed it. So.
It's okay.
It's all good. Otherwise, I'm White Rabbit Pick. That's where you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, and all of those fun things. I'm also a photographer, so you can check out my stuff over there. I am the other half of the Scratchicus Academy. I DM and play over there. And if this one premiere wasn't enough, I'm doing another premiere over on the Gilding Light channel in 4 hours. So yeah, but I love this game so much already, so I can't wait. And you're all amazing. I love the RP, so back over to Greg.
One last thing I will say, and the blending of all the sensorial elements is the best whenever you get to see something in your mind's eye you haven't. And it's been a while since I've experienced a music change, in Lindy's apartment. That terrified me because that was I cannot wait. Chat, Legion, thank you all so much for being here and supporting this fantastic story by Alice with this fantastic cast. I'm done, everyone. So as we usually say around here, as the campfire goes down, there's only one thing left to say. You can't always roll nat 20s, but you can always role play. We'll see you next time, friends.